Before we start talking about the fashion industry and its impacts, social, economical, and environmental, there are some things that need to be explained first. In order for us to understand the proper definitions and processes about the fast and slow fashion, let's first talk about the mass production issue. As told in one of the articles we researched and presented, specifically The Dress of the Poor by Stephen King and Christiana Payne, this kind of production started in the last decade due to the great technology and industrial improvements producing pieces in a large scale. Along with this quick response on textile industry, the fast fashion process brings with it a type of unethical production. Despite the low costs on clothes, we can also assign the short life cycle and low quality of fabrics. The fast fashion industry is being very criticized lately not only because of these production and obsolescence characteristics, but also by the lack of conscience about the environmental consequences in the process. A new kind of production was also introduced as a way of protest to the fast fashion, the slow fashion. With some things explained, we can move on to the important topics about our research, which we divided in 3 topics: social, industrial, and environmental.
The social aspect of fashion is one of the easiest aspects to analyze due to the society's assumption of poor clothes and luxury clothes. On the common sense, the definition of luxury clothes is a beautiful, expensive piece, but officially, the so-called luxury clothes are actually the haute couture pieces, are considered to be a high-value piece because of its craft work production with a small-scale production and exclusive clothes to whom orders it. For a better vision about the definition of haute couture, it's important to say that it's not a public or a popular decision. It's not the consumers that define what makes a piece haute couture.
They come and they go, they follow the flow. Each one has a face, a place in space. The way they grow, the way they scroll, changing age at every stage. It's a white, slowly rolling into the white. It's a clouds into crowds and they look into my eyes. It's a white, slowly rolling into the white.
Actually, it's the Chambre Syndicale de la Haute Couture, the regulation commission that determines which fashion houses are eligible to be true haute couture houses. To talk about the social aspect of fashion and not mention the power structures is a naive thought. The whole fashion area is about a coercive interest with a social-economic hierarchy. As being a little reflective about this, the fashion is supposed to penetrate our skin in order to balance and complement our individual internal aesthetic. Sadly, it's the opposite that happens. The system that is highly influenced by the high hierarchy presents fashion as an external aesthetic representation, full of values and distinct classes. Socially, culturally, and communicatively speaking, fashion is one of the major tools to express and communicate with the people and the society itself, but is strongly restrained by the media, which insists on reproducing speeches and trends that are exclusively directed to the high class, and replicating an invisible line between the rich and poor, which is already visible in other aspects of art and communication. The industrialization has been a huge process of changes on the industrial field in the whole world. Before, in the Middle Ages, where the production was manual and craft work. Then, in the present day, where the production gained great proportions and the mass production term was introduced on the industry workplace. This huge mass production, prioritizing quantity and not quality when it comes to fashion, is called fast fashion. In 1990, the fashion market got popular and the craftwork pieces were substituted and it started a global colonization of fashion, when international apparels entered in the global market, producing and offering new clothes and trends and destroying the local market. With this new concept of speed of the market that the industrialization brought, the clothes couldn't take much time to be produced, and so the fast fashion industry has been stalled. However, in order to make possible for the companies to follow this rhythm, the quantity took the quality spot, and the quality of the materials decreased. This movement first appeared in Europe market by Zara, H&M, Forever 21, and Gap, and has been introduced in the Brazilian market by C&A, Marisa, and Renner. Regardless of its negative characteristics, such as short life cycle and low quality of the material, this kind of industry is still profiting and profiting. In fact, the green market, called that way because of its environmental causes, is trying to protest against the fast fashion due to its extremely negative impacts in the world.
In 2004, a new kind of production emerged, going against the fast fashion issues, low quality of material, mass production, global markets, trends, and hiding the negative impacts that causes to the world, and it's gaining more and more visibility due to its environmental care, slow fashion. The slow fashion production prioritizes the local market instead of the global, the kind of material and impact that this production may cause to the nature. There are a lot of rules that you must follow in order to be considered as a slow fashion producer, such as the long life cycle of the clothes, the quality, and the use of non-polluting fabrics. Also, the use of long life clothes goes against the short life clothes of the fast fashion, because in the slow fashion there is not a trend garment, a season garment, or a temporary garment. All the clothes are made with supervision of an environmental authority in order to the consequences to the nature be as minimal as possible. Recycling is one of the pillars of this kind of production, alongside with the conscious consumption of clothes and conscious use of materials that might have negative impacts to the environment.
So, summarizing all this, we can conclude that despite all the bad consequences the fast fashion industry brings to the environment, it's actually one of the broader markets in the actual world conjuncture. However, the environmental causes are gaining more and more visibility lately, and step by step, people are becoming conscious about the negative impacts that the industry brings to the world. And with the green market expansion, hopefully the bad consequences to the environment will be as minimal as possible. As we can also see, there is still a concentration of power in the hand of the higher class, and that involves fashion as well. The trends and the luxury clothes will be used by the richer, and the not so invisible line between the rich and the poor still exists, and you can notice not only by the economic issue, but also by the way people dresses. The fashion industry is changing a lot lately, but it still needs to continue changing not only by the social matter, but by the environmental as well.